What if I told you that every single day, you're negotiating? From your salary at work to who gets the last slice of pizza at home, life is full of negotiations. Now, what if I told you that mastering the art of negotiation could drastically improve your life, not just financially, but in your relationships, career, and even your mental well being? Surprised? You shouldn't be. Negotiation isn't just for boardrooms or salespeople, it's for everyone, and today, I'm going to show you how you can get what you want every time. We're diving into Tim Castle's powerful book, The Art of Negotiation: How to Get What You Want Every Time. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to transform the way you negotiate, whether you're asking for a raise, negotiating a contract, or resolving a conflict in your personal life. And make sure to stay until the end for a surprising tip that'll supercharge your negotiations. It's a game changer. But before we get into it, if you're looking for ways to enhance your life, build better habits, and improve your mindset, hit that subscribe button. Here, we break down actionable strategies from some of the world's best books on success, negotiation, and personal development. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with a story. Imagine you're walking into a negotiation for a new job. You've got the offer on the table, but it's lower than you expected. Most people would immediately start thinking of how to convince the employer to increase that offer, right? But what if the key to getting a better deal wasn't about pushing harder but about understanding the other side better? That's where Tim Castle's method begins, with empathy and insight into the psychology of the negotiation. Castle believes that negotiation is less about winning and more about connecting. It's about understanding the motivations, fears, and needs of the person across from you. This approach changes everything. Think about it, in today's world, where people are often polarized, being able to empathize and truly understand someone's perspective can not only help you win negotiations, but also build stronger, more meaningful relationships. This concept ties into a larger conversation happening in the world today. As we face increasing societal and workplace divides, the ability to connect and understand others, not just argue or persuade, has become a crucial life skill. And negotiation, at its heart, is about bridging divides, finding common ground, and creating solutions that benefit everyone involved. So how do you do this? Let's break down the first key element of Castle's method: mindset. Negotiation is not a battle. Castle challenges the widely accepted notion that negotiation is about being tougher, louder, or more aggressive. Instead, he suggests adopting the mindset of a collaborator, not a competitor. You're not there to defeat someone, you're there to work with them to find a solution. Think of it this way: when was the last time you entered a negotiation feeling like you had to win at all costs? What if, instead, you went in thinking, how can I help both of us walk away happy? This shift not only reduces anxiety but also opens up possibilities for more creative, mutually beneficial outcomes. Here's an example from the book. Castle talks about a high-stakes business negotiation where his team was up against a tough competitor. Instead of going in guns blazing, Castle focused on building rapport with the other party. He listened to their concerns, understood their needs, and framed his offer as a solution that addressed both their pain points and his goals. The result? Not only did they close the deal, but both sides felt satisfied with the outcome. That's the power of collaboration over conflict. Now, let's talk about preparation, one of the most overlooked aspects of negotiation, yet arguably the most important. Castle highlights a crucial principle: know your BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Basically, this means knowing your plan B before you even walk into the room. Why? Because having a strong BATNA gives you the confidence to walk away if the deal isn't right for you, and that's a powerful position to be in. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're negotiating a salary. You want $70,000, but the company offers $65,000. If you've done your homework and know that another company is willing to offer you $72,000, you can confidently negotiate because you're not afraid to walk away. This is the power of a solid BATNA. It allows you to negotiate from a position of strength. But here's the twist: it's not just about knowing your BATNA, you also need to understand the other parties. What's their alternative if they don't reach an agreement with you? Understanding this gives you an edge because you can frame your offer in a way that aligns with their best interests. Let's shift gears and talk about tactics, specifically, the power of making the first offer. Now, conventional wisdom might tell you to let the other person make the first move, but Castle suggests doing the opposite. By making the first offer, you set what's called an anchor, a psychological benchmark that influences the rest of the negotiation. For example, if you're negotiating a freelance contract and you offer $1,500 for a project, the conversation is now anchored around that figure. It creates a reference point that can steer the entire negotiation in your favor, especially if you've done your homework and presented a figure that's reasonable yet ambitious. This tactic is particularly useful in today's gig economy, where freelancers and contractors often have to negotiate their rates. Setting the anchor high but justifiable can lead to better outcomes, but only if you're well prepared and have the confidence to back it up. Another powerful tool in Castle's arsenal is the art of concessions. Have you ever been in a negotiation where you felt like you were giving away too much? That's because you weren't thinking strategically about your concessions. Castle emphasizes the importance of planning your concessions in advance, knowing what you're willing to give up and, more importantly, what you expect to get in return. Think about it like this: every time you make a concession, it should be part of a bigger strategy. For instance, if you're negotiating a deal and you agree to lower your price, ask for something in return, maybe a longer contract, more favorable terms, or a testimonial. This way, you're not just giving away value, you're trading it for something equally valuable. In today's world, where instant gratification often takes precedence over long-term thinking, Castle's advice to play the long game is refreshing. It reminds us that negotiation is not just about short-term gains, but about building relationships and creating value over time. And speaking of time, let's talk about deadlines. Castle stresses that time can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy in negotiations. High-pressure deadlines often force decisions, but the key is to use them to your advantage. For instance, if you know a deadline is approaching and the other party seems hesitant, you can leverage that urgency to close the deal in your favor. But be careful, don't let deadlines rush you into making poor decisions. Castle advises negotiators to remain calm under pressure and control the tempo of the negotiation. In fact, the power of silence can be one of your most effective tools. Silence creates space, forces the other person to think, and often makes them uncomfortable enough to reveal more than they intended. As we near the end, I want to bring up one final point that Castle makes, perhaps the most important of all: ethics. In a world where shortcuts and deceit sometimes seem like the fastest routes to success, Castle urges us to remain ethical in our negotiations. Trust is a negotiator's most valuable asset, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild. This is particularly relevant in today's climate, where integrity in business and personal relationships is scrutinized more than ever. Being honest and transparent in your negotiations not only helps you build trust, but it also sets the foundation for future opportunities. Castle believes that negotiation is not just about getting what you want today, it's about building long-term relationships that will benefit you tomorrow. Now let's summarize the key takeaways from Tim Castle's book. Negotiation is about empathy, not conflict. Understanding the other party's perspective is key. Preparation is everything. Know your batnet and theirs. Make the first offer to set the anchor. Plan your concessions and always get something in return. Use time and silence to your advantage. Stay ethical. Integrity will carry you further than any short-term gain. Before you go, here's that surprise tip I promised: next time you're negotiating, embrace the silence. Don't rush to fill the gaps. Give the other person space to think, and you'll often find that they end up giving you more than you expected. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one more powerful tool in your negotiation arsenal: continuous learning. Negotiation, like any skill, improves with practice and study. So if you're looking to dive even deeper into this topic, I highly recommend checking out the book Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Voss is a former FBI hostage negotiator, and his approach to negotiation emphasizes tactical empathy and high-stakes negotiation tactics. It's a great complement to Tim Castle's The Art of Negotiation and will give you even more strategies to master this essential skill. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos on personal development, negotiation tactics, and self-improvement strategies. It's free, and it helps you stay up to date with all the great content we have coming up. Also, if you found the tips in this video useful, give it a like and leave a comment below. Let me know your biggest takeaway from today's video, or share your own experiences with negotiation.